course, this is being heavily scrutinised, as we're discussing, not just by the public, by the legal community as well. I'm joined here by lawyer Curl Lewis Llewellyn. You've just listened to the whole of the summation there. What do you think?
Well, all in all, it was a summary of our legal position on bail legislation and a historic overview of everything and all principles relating to bail legislation. I think it was a well-balanced judgment. I also thought of the judgment as well-researched, so I don't think there's any reason why any of the parties would be inclined to take the matter on appeal to our Supreme Court.
Anything in there at all that surprised you?
And did the what just surprise me?
Anything in what he said that surprised you?
The fact that the magistrate, to a certain extent, indicated that there are loopholes in both the defence and the state's case thus far, is indicative of the fact that they both will have to go back and do some further homework, preparation for the trial ultimately, maybe ask further particulars ultimately on both sides in preparation for the ultimate trial.
Is it unusual in legal cases here for the police essentially to be as criticised as heavily by a magistrate for contaminating the crime scene, failing to follow up on the phone calls, etc.?
No, not at all. Remember, ultimately, the magistrate and the judge must make sure that justice prevails. And if that means that to criticise the police, so be it. So it's not uncommon, unusual, and in many instances the last couple of years we have similar examples.
What would you expect now the prosecution to be doing in preparation for this trial? When would you expect it to be?
What will now next happen is obviously that the state will go back to the drawing board. We'll have a look at the defence that was prepared by means of an affidavit by Oscar, and ultimately then build their case surrounding that, because ultimately that will be the evidence that will be in dispute.
Was that really a success for the state to be able to draw out that affidavit from the defence?
Yeah, remember, they will have the advantage that they'll have the version and the defence version at hand 6 months or a year even before the trial starts. So ultimately, don't make no mistake, it's not as if the state ultimately lost the battle.
What do you think the priorities are going to be for the defence at this stage?
First of all, I think they will first of all make sure that Oscar gets home, have a decent bath, maybe have a bit of alone time with his family and friends. And once that is done, they'll start their preparation for the trial. Like I said, there's a lot of paperwork to be done, further particulars, discovery in terms of our law, constitutional principles to be adhered to, and so forth and so on. But ultimately, they will start their preparations rather sooner than later.
Is Oscar Pistorius now going to spend a lot of time with that legal team, or are they going to put him on one side? Or are they, as they get closer to the trial, talk to him more, put him under pressure, get him ready for what he's going to face there?
Because this is such a high-profile case, I assume his legal team will sort of put all the other cases they might have for now aside and concentrate on this very case. Like I said, a lot of work to be done. It can keep them busy for the best part of the rest of the year, even before we get to the trial stage. So, yeah, I think they will concentrate on this case alone.
Your estimates of when the trial is going to be?
I would suggest by the end of the year.
Let me just go back to when all this happened. How shocked were you personally, not as a lawyer, personally, when you heard this, and how shocked have you been as all this information has come out?
Look, ultimately, Oscar is one of our icons. It's not easy to find out that your icon might be construed as a criminal. But, well, that being said, also from Riva's side, make no mistake, it's a tragedy all in all for both sides. I think his life is in tatters, both families for that matter. And it's a sad day for South African sport and for sport across the world.
Do you think this is something South Africans will be talking about a decade, 2 decades from now?
Yeah, you can imagine we had the Hansie Cronje issue at the cricket a couple of years back, and we're still talking about that one. So I suppose Oscar Pistorius will be the next one to be talked about for the next couple of years.